You know, I've been thinking about this for a while. By the way, hi, hello, it's me, your boyfriend slash girlfriend slash stay friends, favorite content creator. And I've been thinking a lot about the crisis of masculinity in gaming. It doesn't exist. It truly doesn't. But I've been thinking about it in terms of what do they actually mean by a crisis in masculinity? If you just type in like masculinity in games, you're going to see a lot of the content creators talking about where is it gone? Who killed it? What happened to it? I mean, this is largely one creator, but there's still, a little bit of runoff from that. And as much fun as it is to make fun of this person, I do actually want to talk about the core concept they're trying to drive out. Because again, they're very wrong, but I do think it's worth talking about. When they talk about masculinity, really listen to what they're saying. Look at the examples that they're showing you, right? It's Duke Nukem with the gun surrounded by women, right? Well, really analyze that. What about that exactly, what about that exactly is masculine? And I know people are thinking, what are you talking about? But really think about it. What makes that masculine? Is it hetero? Yeah, of course, extremely so. But what makes that inherently masculine? What about a man being surrounded by women makes that masculine? Because let's say Duke Nukem was a queer man, surrounded by the same women in the same pose. Is that still masculine? Because for a lot of these people, the answer would be no. So then is masculinity only tied to heterosexuality? So it's more about being hetero? But then they always say it's masculine. So now I go back to the same question, right? What do you mean by masculinity? They'll bring up other examples of men capable of extreme violence. They'll say protector, but that means nothing. Protection in what way? If I'm a mage and I can cast a spell of, a shield on somebody, am I now masculine? If I have a giant wall protecting my home, my family, am I now masculine? Or is the protection just the means of which I can dole out extreme amounts of violence? And again, if that's the case, why is that inherently masculine? Are bears masculine? Are lionesses masculine because they are capable of extreme levels of violence against those who may seek to do harm to them or their pride or their cubs? Is that masculine? Why is Kratos masculine? Why is Marcus Phoenix masculine? Why is Marcus Phoenix masculine? They don't have the answer. There's something intrinsic that we've all just decided like that's a masculine. Yeah, they drink beers, they like monster trucks, they do violence. But what about those acts are masculine? It's not as if violence only presents itself in cis men and no one else. Violence is in nature. There are ants that are violent. What about that is masculine? Yeah, men seem to do it at let's say a higher clip, but it's not something exclusive to them, right? Like swimming, living underwater would be the domain of aquatic creatures, right? That's unique to them. They do that. We breathe air. There's not a fish that can live on land for decades. That's not possible, right? Yeah, there's some amphibious creatures, but again, that's unique to them being amphibious. They can be both on land and in sea. That's unique to them. But masculinity, what is that? The ability to do violence? That's not unique. Being surrounded by women, that's also not unique. Protecting people, that's not unique either. I think that's where the real rub is, right? They can't really define it because it's an ill-defined concept. Sure, we have things that are traditionally considered to be masculine, but that in itself doesn't make it masculine. You've seen old videos of John Wayne smoking a cigarette, right? Oh, he's a real man's man. Why? Because he's giving himself cancer? What's masculine about dying before your time? Again, I fail to understand what they mean when they talk about masculinity is going away. It's going away. It's going away. To me, right? Being masculine is just being brave enough to be in touch with your emotions and not being afraid to showcase the full breadth of emotions and personality types. Of course, queer people can be masculine. Of course. Of course, trans men can be masculine, right? Any man can be masculine. Masculinity isn't this one size fits all, but they've been trying to put people in these boxes for such a long time that they're actually afraid of nonconformity. They're afraid to be themselves. They are afraid to live a truth. They are afraid to live in a world where there are men who can wear a dress and beat their ass. They hate that, actually. Which, ironically, some of the people they promote as the most masculine of men have recently gotten their asses handed to them. One of them, who was a professional fighter, lost to like a reality star who, if we're going by the traditional precepts of masculinity, doesn't fit that. And yet, beat his ass. Because again, these trappings of masculinity are just that. They're trappings. And these people, the Andy Pantsers of the world, the people online who are constantly promoting this idea of like, we've lost masculinity, they can't even tell you what it is. Like, they're falling for ad copy. They're yearning for a time where Duke Nukem was relevant, not even realizing that Duke Nukem was a parody of those characters, like an actual parody character of just no substance. Just, yeah, I'm one-liners and then I shoot people, which is boring. But again, that wasn't something to live up to. But this idea that masculinity has been vanishing from the face of the earth is so insane, especially when you look at it in the lens of video games. Again, if we are to adopt the traditional, not say the correct, but the traditional perspective masculinity, having the ability to commit mass acts of violence, there are still first-person shooter games. There are still games where people are beating the shit out of people, where there's men kicking ass and taking names. Just because they may have a softer appearance doesn't negate from the acts of what they're doing. Unless you're saying you can only be masculine if you look like someone transplanted a cinder block into your chin and that you can bench press tanks. Because if that's the case, then most of the people who are telling you that's masculine fail by their own standards. You don't have to look far to see that the content creators who are telling you you got to be strong and tough and resilient, all these things, simply aren't those things. They are sitting on a microphone in front of a computer, 40-year-old men who are divorced, who lost it all, and are lamenting that the video games they play from the comfort of their home, when they pretend to be soldiers out there fighting wars, where they pretend to be these men who are protectors, where they play pretend being these men, they don't live up to that standard. And I think a part of them knows that, and they're upset about that. But instead of doing something, in real life, personally, taking care of their physical fitness or trying to reach that standard of whatever they believe masculinity to be, they bitch and complain. They do the most unmasculine thing possible, right? They get on the internet, they spill their feelings about how back in the day you could play Call of Duty and say slurs, and now you can't because everyone's too soft, right? How can that be masculine? How can complaining about things you can control be masculine? That is why their worldview is so narrow. That is why all their complaints can be summarized as, I am projecting my insecurities. You want to go back to being a masculine man? Work on yourself. Fix your insecurities. Stop looking at video games as some sort of litmus test of, can we be masculine men now? No one's stopping you from going to the gym. No one's stopping you from being a more complete person. No one's stopping you from learning a mechanical skill or carpentry or whatever the fuck you think you need to do in order to be that rugged, manly man. No one's stopping you but you. Because it's hard. And you don't want to do it. So you get on the internet and you make videos trying to put down other people for not living up to the same expectation that you yourself are failing to live up to. Which is why I think all this talk about masculinity is bullshit. because there's no one who can truly define what masculinity means, including myself. We each have our own definition. We each have our own interpretation of what it is to be masculine. For me, like I stated before, it is being the best version of yourself. It is allowing yourself to feel emotions and not just anger. Be sad, be happy, cry, watch a movie that makes you really contemplate, like, you know, your existence. Listen to music, paint your nails. I haven't in a while, but paint your nails, do what you want. I think the least masculine thing you can do is concern yourself with the opinions of others who do not matter. Like, there are people who are coming to my channel, coming to my TikTok, my Twitter, and like, oh my God, you're the guy who's obsessed with Asmongold. Oh my God, you're obsessed, you're obsessed, you're obsessed. And you wanna know why they do that? They know I'm not obsessed. They know if you go on my channel, which I did, I posted a video about this, but if you go on my channel, in the entirety of my entire channel, I've made like 7 videos on him. 6 of them or 5 of them being negative videos. And I had this channel since 2016? 7 minutes, that's nothing. Oh, but your stuff on Twitter. People talk about people on Twitter all the fucking time. Doesn't mean they're obsessed. It just means the person I'm talking about, unfortunately, is popular. Well, they do that because they're insecure. They want to come and try to get me to stop talking. But they think that their opinions matter to me. It doesn't. I have people who leave comments about my hair saying, "What's that on your hair?" Do you think I'm going to cut my hair because some insecure people come to my page and tell me they want me to look a certain way before they take me seriously? Of course not. I'm growing this bitch out because those people's opinions do not sway me. They are not important people. They're not serious people. They're not people in my life. They're not people with any legitimate concerns. They are insecure people. I do not cater my content nor my life to insecure men. I don't even cater my shit to men. I don't understand how there are people who claim to be these tough masculine men, but are so captured by their audience, so captured by people on the internet that they will do whatever those people want them to do. And I don't mean in terms of like, hey gang, I'm thinking of making this video. Here's the concept. What do you think about that? No, not like feedback. I'm talking like they will act in a manner that they know their audience will appreciate and only view them through that lens because they're too afraid to be authentic. You're seeing it all the time with these grifters. You're seeing them flip-flop on positions left and right because they have to constantly see what's the next coming up trend. They have no backbone. You can go back to my old videos when I sporadically would talk about real world stuff or my more personal stuff. And I have the same ethos because I am consistent. I am a secure individual. My motives, the things that animate me, aren't fickle. I am a man. I'm an adult man. I am secure with myself. They are not, which is why they need to find security in other things, which is why they must project, which is why they have to have Kratos be the angry guy all the time. Why is he not angry anymore? Oh, they made him a pussy because he has a kid and he talks to women and isn't trying to bone them all the time. Kratos has evolved. Kratos is now more masculine than he's ever been, in my eyes, because he's allowing himself to be a complete and whole individual, not just some angry avatar. But again, these people are insecure. These people seek identity. They seek validation from everyone else. That's why you'll see them make those videos. That's why you'll see them in my comment sections and other people's comment sections being like, oh, well, you're just jealous because he has more subscribers. He has more views. Like, no, none of that shit animates me, my guy. I'm not motivated by that. I don't give a fuck if someone has 1 billion followers. I say fuck the president all the time. He's the president of the United States. They could put me in jail because I'm too tall. I don't care. Like, I need you guys to understand that. If you claim to be masculine, if you claim that masculinity is dying, and then you're the ones who are bootlicking authority figures because, oh, maybe they'll give me a piece of power, or let me clout chase because maybe not, let me dick ride for this guy because maybe he'll put me on one of his videos. Like, that's not masculine. That's bitch shit. Stop doing bitch shit. You're out here wondering where masculinity's gone. It hasn't gone anywhere. You just never recognized it. Because your version of masculinity was whatever other people told you was masculine. That's not masculine, dude. Being told how to be is probably the least masculine thing you can do.